Where did I come from? Where did I come from? So you ask yourself this perplexing question, where did I come from? And most of us, when we think about that question, we come up with an answer. And the answer is, as hard as it is for us to even imagine, our parents did it. It's a tough one. But in one blissful moment, one drop of human protoplasm in some mysterious way collided with another, and life began in this microscopic dot. Now, so when we think about where we come from, that sort of is the place that we get to in our hearts. But just go back to that moment for a second and understand that, remember what I said earlier, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Just keep that idea in mind. Because if you go back to the time of your absolute beginning into the material world, you know that there was a microscopic dot. And this microscopic dot included everything that you needed for this physical journey. And you can't even see it with a microscope. It's just too mysterious and too mystical to even contemplate, isn't it? So what I'd like to do just for a few seconds here is to go back to take the microscopic dot that is your beginnings, in which there's a future pull that is created every face and every body and everything in here and everyone out there watching today. In that one instant miraculous moment, everything that you needed for this physical journey was in there. Too hard to comprehend, you just accept it. So now we take the dot and we look at the dot and we say, let's find the origin of the dot that began me. And you put it under a microscope and you turn up the magnification, and what you see as you turn up this magnification is you see molecules. And inside of those molecules are mostly particles, and these particles are all flitting about, and there's mostly just empty spaces in there. And you take one of these particles out, and we call them atoms. And you put this atom, looking for your source, looking for where you began, and you put it under another atomic microscope, turn up the magnification even stronger, and what do you discover as you turn up the magnification? You discover that it's just more empty spaces and more particles with new names. Protons, electrons, neutrons, croutons, whatever you want to call them, right? We memorized them in junior high school, right? So you take one of these electrons, and you're just looking for your source. Where did I come from? You turn up the magnification on this electron microscope, and what do you see? More spaces and more particles, all flitting about, a dance, this huge dance. And you take one of those and you turn up the magnification, and what you have are new particles with new names called quarks. We're now looking at quantum physics, the study of the behavior of matter at the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest levels. And we're just looking for our source. So finally we take one of those quarks, and these quarks are really weird. My friend Deepak Chopra has often said to me, Wayne, he said, quantum physics is not only stranger than you think it is, it's stranger than you can think. Because you take a tiny little subatomic particle and observe it, and the fact is that the nature of your observing changes what you're observing. If you look at it in a certain way, it becomes one thing. If you turn away, it becomes something else. It's truly a scientific fact that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And now you take this tiny little subatomic particle, and you take it and you put it in a particle accelerator, and you rev up the speed of these things and collide them at 250,000 miles per hour. You collide them, you open up the particle accelerator looking for your source, and guess what's in there? Nothing. No thing. That the dot that began you originated from a field of energy that has no boundaries, no beginnings, no ends. It's infinite. It's an infinite potential. And the question that I have for you is, if you can get this, that you didn't begin with that particle because particles themselves do not create more particles. St. Paul put it this way in the New Testament, that which is seen hath not come from that which doth appear. They talked a little strange in those days, all right? What that means is that everything that we see in the material world doesn't originate in the material world. It's the spirit that gives life. The flesh counts for nothing. If the shape of your eye can be in an energy field that has no boundaries, no form, no materialness to it, why not the shape of your life? Why not everything that you are destined to become? Why can't that be a part of this energy field as well? And that's what Carlos Castaneda said, and that's what every metaphysician said. That's what all of the great spiritual teachings on this planet say, that our source is spirit. It is something other than the physical.